Women, after 60, I beg you, never apologize for these 5 things in a relationship. I'm sorry I'm not as exciting as I used to be. Those were the words that stopped me in my tracks when 67-year-old Helen said them during our session. She was sitting across from me, elegant and accomplished, a retired teacher who'd raised 3 children and built a beautiful life. But she was apologizing to a man she'd been dating for feeling tired after a full day, for preferring quiet dinners to crowded parties, for being exactly who 6 decades of living had shaped her to become. "Helen," I said gently, "what exactly are you apologizing for?" She looked confused, as if the answer should be obvious. "For being this, old, set in my ways, for not being the woman he might have wanted 20 years ago." My heart broke for her, and for the thousands of women I've counseled who carry this same burden. The belief that aging requires an apology, that becoming who we truly are is somehow a disappointment to others. Here's what I told Helen that day, and what I want every woman over 60 to hear. You have lived too long, survived too much, and learned too deeply to spend your remaining years apologizing for the miracle of who you've become. If you're a woman over 60 who's ever found herself saying, "I'm sorry," for things that aren't actually wrong, for taking up space, for having opinions, for needing what you need, this video is for you. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because today we're talking about the 5 things you should never, ever apologize for when it comes to love at this stage of your life. The poet Maya Angelou wrote, "When we know better, we do better." At 60 and beyond, we know better. We know what matters and what doesn't, what nourishes us and what drains us, what we'll accept and what we absolutely won't. This isn't something to apologize for. It's something to celebrate. Today, we're exploring the 5 things that mature women should never apologize for in love. Not because you're being difficult, but because you've earned the right to love authentically, completely, and without compromise. Because here's the truth that our youth-obsessed culture doesn't want you to know. The woman you are now, with all your wisdom, your boundaries, your hard-won peace, she's not a consolation prize. She's the grand prize. Let's begin.
Thing number 1, never apologize for your standards. Let me tell you about Patricia, a 63-year-old widow who came to me in tears. "I think I'm too picky," she said. "My daughter says I need to lower my standards if I ever want to find someone." Patricia had been on several dates through online platforms, and each time she found herself making excuses for men who showed up late, who interrupted her when she spoke, who seemed more interested in having a companion than getting to know who she actually was. "Maybe I'm expecting too much," she worried. "Maybe at my age I should just be grateful for any attention." Stop right there. The psychologist Dr. Brené Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. After 60, your standards aren't pickiness. They're wisdom made practical. You've lived long enough to know the difference between a man who opens doors out of genuine respect and one who does it to check a politeness box. You can sense the difference between someone who asks about your day because they care and someone who's going through conversational motions. Your standards exist because you've learned what happens when you don't have them. You've seen relationships built on compromise of essential values. You've witnessed the slow erosion that happens when we accept treatment that doesn't align with our worth. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." At this stage of life, withdrawing that consent isn't being difficult, it's being self-respecting. Your standards might include expecting consistent communication, not sporadic attention. Requiring emotional availability, not just physical presence. Wanting genuine interest in who you are, not just appreciation for what you provide. needing respect for your time, energy, and autonomy. These aren't unreasonable expectations. These are the basic requirements for healthy adult relationships. What's one standard you've been told is too high, but that you know is actually just right for you? Share in the comments. Sometimes we need to hear that our standards are not only acceptable, they're necessary.
Thing number 2, never apologize for your independence. "I'm sorry I'm so self-sufficient," Margaret told the man she'd been seeing for 3 months, her voice carrying that particular tone of apology I'd heard from countless women her age. "I know it probably makes you feel unneeded." I wanted to shake her, gently but firmly. The absurdity of the moment struck me. Here was a woman apologizing for one of her greatest accomplishments, treating her hard-won independence as if it were a character defect that needed managing, rather than a masterpiece that deserved admiration. Self-sufficiency isn't a character flaw that requires an apology. It's an achievement that deserves celebration. At 60 plus, your independence isn't some accident of circumstance or stubborn personality quirk. You didn't just stumble into self-reliance like someone wandering into an unfamiliar neighborhood. You earned it through decades of handling whatever life decided to hurl in your direction. You've managed households when budgets were tight and patience was thinner. You've raised children through sleepless nights and teenage rebellions. You've navigated careers in rooms where your voice was often the only female one. You've survived the kind of losses that either break people or forge them into something stronger than they ever imagined they could be. Every decision you made when others couldn't or wouldn't make them, every problem you solved when no one else stepped up, every moment you chose to depend on your own strength when everything else felt uncertain, these weren't just random events. They were the accumulated curriculum of becoming a woman who doesn't need rescuing because she's learned to be her own hero. The truth about mature women and independence is this. We're not independent because we don't want partnership. We're independent because we know the difference between wanting someone and needing someone. This distinction isn't semantic, it's transformational. We've evolved from the desperate neediness of youth when love felt like oxygen and being alone felt like suffocation, to the confident choosiness of experience, where solitude can be sanctuary, and partnership becomes a conscious decision rather than an emotional emergency. Carl Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But that's exactly what independence after 60 represents. Complete self-acceptance that doesn't require external validation to feel whole. and signed with the ink of experience. Don't you dare apologize for writing it so beautifully. Thing number 3, never apologize for your body. This one cuts deep because we live in a culture that teaches women our value decreases with every line, every gray hair, every sign that we've actually lived. We're bombarded with messages that aging is failure, that visible time is visible shame, that our bodies should somehow remain frozen in some impossible state of perpetual youth. But here's what I want every woman over 60 to understand. Your body is not an apology letter to the world. It's a testament to survival, endurance, and the incredible journey of being human. Rose, 71, told me she felt compelled to warn men before they saw her without makeup, to apologize for her scars from surgery, to make self-deprecating jokes about her weight gain, to beat them to the punch. I don't want them to be disappointed, she said, her voice heavy with the exhaustion of carrying shame that was never hers to bear. Rose, I asked her, disappointed by what? By evidence that you've lived? By proof that you've survived decades on this planet? The question hung in the air between us, like a challenge to everything she'd been taught about her worth. Here was a woman who had raised 4 children, buried both parents, survived breast cancer, and built a successful career as a nurse. And she was apologizing for looking like someone who had done all those things. Your body at 60 plus tells a story of resilience that deserves to be read with reverence, not shame. Every line etched around your eyes is evidence of laughter that bubbled up from deep joy, of worry that showed how much you cared, of concentration as you solved problems others couldn't handle, of the full range of human emotion that comes from living authentically rather than hiding behind Botox and filters. Those hands that you might think look old, they've comforted crying children, prepared thousands of meals, held the hands of dying parents, applauded graduations and celebrations, wiped away tears, created beauty in countless forms. They don't look old, they look experienced. The scars you carry, whether from surgeries, accidents, or the simple wear of decades, these aren't flaws that need concealing. Every scar is proof you've healed. Every mark is evidence that your body fought for you, repaired itself, found ways to continue carrying you through life even when damaged. Your scars are your body's autobiography, written in the language of survival. The poet Adrian Rich wrote, "There must be those among whom we can sit down and weep and still be counted as warriors." Your body is a warrior's body. It doesn't need to apologize for looking like it's been in battle. It needs to be honored for winning so many fights. The fight against gravity, against time, against illness, against exhaustion, against the thousand small assaults that daily life delivers to human flesh. When you apologize for taking longer to get ready now, you're apologizing for taking care of yourself with the intentionality that comes from understanding your own worth. When you feel guilty about needing more rest, you're feeling guilty for listening to your body's accumulated wisdom about what it requires to function beautifully. When you hesitate to express preferences about physical intimacy, you're treating your comfort as less important than someone else's expectations. But the way age has changed your appearance isn't something you've let happen. It's something you've earned through the magnificent act of continuing to exist, to grow, to experience life in all its complexity. I think of the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, the aesthetic philosophy that finds beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. Your aging body embodies wabi-sabi in a most profound way. The silver in your hair catches light differently now, creating a luminescence that youth cannot achieve.
The softness that has replaced earlier firmness tells the story of a body that has learned to be gentle with itself and others. The way you move now, maybe perhaps more slowly, more carefully, reflects the wisdom of someone who has learned that rushing through life means missing most of it. The right partner sees your body as a beautiful map of a life fully lived, not a deviation from some impossible standard of eternal youth. They see the geography of your experience written in your skin, the testament to your endurance carved in your posture, the proof of your vitality glowing in your eyes that have seen everything and still choose to look at the world with curiosity rather than cynicism. When you meet someone who makes you feel like you need to apologize for your body, you're meeting someone who's bought into the toxic mythology that women's value lies in their ability to appear untouched by time. You're encountering someone who prefers the illusion of youth to the reality of wisdom, who mistakes inexperience for beauty. But when you meet someone who looks at you and sees not what time has taken, but what life has given, the depth in your eyes, the stories in your smile lines, the strength in your survivor stance, you found someone capable of loving not just bodies, but souls. Someone who understands that beauty at 60 plus isn't about looking younger, it's about looking like yourself, completely and unapologetically. Your body has carried you through 6 decades or more of breathing, feeling, experiencing, surviving, thriving. It has been your faithful companion through every joy and sorrow, your partner in every adventure, your ally in every challenge. The least it deserves from you now is not apology, but gratitude, not shame, but celebration, not hiding, but honoring. You are not too old, too lined, too soft, too scarred, or too changed. You are exactly what a woman who has lived beautifully for over 60 years looks like. And that, my dear friend, is magnificent.
Thing number 4, never apologize for your past. I'm sorry I come with so much baggage, Sandra said, referring to her divorce, her complicated relationship with her adult children, and the grief she still carried over her mother's death. Stop calling your life experience baggage. It's not baggage, it's wisdom. It's not something to carry with shame, it's something to carry with dignity. At 60 plus, we don't come to relationships as blank slates, and that's not a bug, it's a feature. Your past has shaped you into someone who knows how to love deeply, survive loss, learn from mistakes, and appreciate what truly matters. Yes, you've been married before. You learned things about yourself, about relationships, about what works and what doesn't. That's not a liability, it's an education that makes you a better partner. Yes, you have children, grandchildren, complicated family dynamics. You apologizing for. Hit the like button if you're ready to love unapologetically.
Remember this. You didn't survive everything you've survived to spend your golden years pretending to be smaller than you are. Your standards, your independence, your body, your past, your wants, these aren't flaws that need fixing. They're features that make you uniquely, beautifully, powerfully you. The right person won't need you to apologize for any of these things. They'll be grateful for your clarity, inspired by your strength, attracted to your authenticity. And if someone makes you feel like you need to apologize for being who you are, they're telling you everything you need to know about whether they deserve a place in your beautifully lived life. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to stop apologizing and start celebrating who you've become, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Share this with any woman who needs to hear that she doesn't need to apologize for taking up space, for having standards, for being authentically herself. Remember, the woman who loves herself unapologetically gives others permission to love her the same way. And you, my dear friend, deserve nothing less than love that celebrates exactly who you are.